Who are the best climbers in the world? Tadej Pogačar, Jonas Vingegaard, Remco Evenepoel, Harry Mack and Andrew Feather? There is a subset of British amateur cyclists that for 2 months every year pump out more watts than you'll see at the Tour de France. But who are they? Why are they doing this? And why are we talking about them? It's hill climb season. Now, first things first, I want to set the record straight. I do not think that Harry McFarlane or Andrew Feather are better than some of the greatest pro cyclists of all time. But there is something weird about just how good these riders are at a very specific skill set and the wider impact of this niche on the British scene. So what is a hill climb? Now, you might think of the WorldTour stage races, like for example, the Tour de Romandie features a mountain time trial almost every year. And the 2025 Tour de France included an epic time trial up to Périgueux. Phil Guyman over in the US has also done a great job of showcasing some of their biggest hill climb events with a self-styled hill climb world championships and races up like Pikes Peak. But let me tell you something, they're all wrong. Hill climbs aren't 40-minute slogs, no, they're lung-busting sprints, they're short, sharp, balls-to-the-wall efforts, where long isn't much more than double digits. Riders are let off at 30-second or 1-minute intervals, and whoever rides to the top the fastest wins. And no one takes it quite as seriously as the British. You see, hill climbing is one of the oldest disciplines in cycling, and in fact, the oldest continuously running bike race in the world is Catford CC's hill climb in the south of England that started in 1887. Yeah, we've been mad for a long time. The atmosphere at these national events is just incredible, with crowds of fans creating tunnels through some of the most famous climbs in the UK. The short nature of the climbs allows the spectators to compress together and create a truly unique atmosphere really only seen on big pro races. We're biased here, but racing a hill climb champs has to be one of the best events to race in the world. Where else can you sprint through crowds of fans smashing cowbells and screaming your name just for the small cost of entry? But that's you and I mentioned the big dogs like Andrew Feather. So what makes him as good as some of the best in the world? Well, first, this may be a niche sport, but it has got some credentials. The list of national championships is littered with famous names. Chris Boardman won it like 4 times in a row. Malcolm Elliott grabbed a win in 1980. Bradley Wiggins and David Miller are big names who've taken part and, well, they didn't fare so well. But as with every cycling discipline, hill climbing has evolved and grown over time. You'll now see specialists that target their whole year's training around hitting peak form for that crown jewel at the end of October, the national championships. To name a few, Andrew Feather, Ed Laverick and Harry Mack have been battling it out, producing increasingly impressive rides. Andrew Feather is a full-time lawyer, but he's won the coveted national championship 4 times in the last 7 years and is consistently hitting sub 20-minute power that some World Tour pros could only dream of. And that's the secret. These specialists aren't World Tour pros, which means they can afford to, or sometimes limited to, only training those fresh, one-time efforts. In contrast, Grand Tour riders have to train their endurance, their fatigue resistance. Winning a stage race is all about producing the most power after days of racing thousands of kilometers, not about a fresh 3-minute power. I have no doubt that if Tadej really wanted to, perhaps after winning every pro race on the cycling calendar, he could train his fresh power and absolutely annihilate any British KOM that he wanted to. But the fact that he doesn't, and he probably never will, does mean there's one other benefit to the British hill climbing scene. It's a great place to ask the question, who's the next top British rider? Because of the safety, the low cost and ease of access to these events, it's a great place to see young up-and-coming riders before they break through into the more established road racing calendar. Harry Hudson won the Junior World Championships road race in Rwanda last month after winning the Junior National Hill Climb title last year. He was so quick that he would have been on the elite podium as well. And Ruby Isaac is a young rider to watch that you may have seen on social media doing skill challenges, but she already has a few national titles to her name. We often see people say things like, "Oh, damn, Andrew Feather is so strong. I wonder what would happen if he was scouted at 16. Or, "Oh, I bet he wishes he could be in the World Tour." But I disagree. From where I'm standing, Feather seems to have the best of both worlds. He has a long and successful professional career, a family that he actually gets to see, and for a couple of months every year, he focuses on putting out some insane power numbers and normally wins a national championship for his troubles. You know, that seems pretty sweet to me. So what is the future of hill climbing? Unlike much of British cycling right now, the hill climbing scene seems to be ticking along in an extremely healthy position. You know, the champs are regularly oversubscribed, a problem that's almost non-existent for regular time trials and road races. It gets people excited each year, and more people seem to be getting involved and tuning in online. And it's not surprising once you explore the events a little bit. They're pretty straightforward and inexpensive to run, so race entries aren't extortionate and people can afford to race. They're short and sweet to compete in, so the barrier of entry is pretty tiny. It's not like a road race where you might be tied into racing for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And it's super easy for fans to spectate. The experience of racing in front of supporters cheering you on gives riders a feeling that's pretty rare while racing in the UK. Encouragement. I think the rest of the British scene could learn a lot from hill climbing, and we're excited to see where it leads. So while it may seem like a small and quirky corner of British cycling, hill climbing captures everything that makes the sport so special: the suffering, the spirit, and the sense of community. Every autumn, riders from all backgrounds come together to test themselves against gravity, cheered on by cowbells, friends, and strangers who know exactly what that effort feels like. It's a celebration of the pain, passion, and tradition, and it's proof that you don't need the Alps or a professional contract to experience cycling at its purest.